Good morning, everyone. We are out on the logging roads. We pulled down this one that is pretty overgrown. No one else drove down here last night. We had a nice peaceful sleep. Now we're gonna head on out and unclog a culvert that the beavers have blocked up. And it finally rained last night. Rained a whole bunch. That's good. We've been in drought. We had a good rainy day. Today's supposed to be dreary and rainy. Tomorrow's supposed to be dreary and rainy. We need it. It's finally raining. Not sure how beneficial it is. At this time of year, you can see half of the leaves are gone off the trees. But it's time to pull on out. I'll time-lapse this crazy, windy, hilly logging road we just went down as we make our way back to the main artery. Alright, everyone, we've made it back to the main road. And there is our beaver blockage right here. It's not that big of a pond, so that means it's going to drain back fairly fast. If we have to do this in a couple stages, it won't matter because it's not that big of an area. Couldn't see how big of an area it was last night coming in here. It looks like a good amount of parking area. It's a Sunday, no traffic, no loggers. On Sunday, most of the loggers aren't working around. And it's dreary, so tourists and hunters probably are not going to want to be out here as much. Just pull over nicely. Stay right here. Let's go evaluate it. I'll get the big high boots on, get the rake out. All right, everyone, stepping out of the vehicle. We are the only set of tracks since it rained. There's no one out here this weekend. But I still made sure to pull all the way over because you never know if a double wide trailer happens to come through for whatever reason. There's also an angry squirrel. This looks like a brand new culvert. Look what the beavers have done. Is this one we can attempt from the outside, or do we have to get inside to do it? Let's take a look. All considering, it's a pretty thin dam. You got a frog right there. He looks kind of cold. So, how are we doing on the inside? Pretty low water levels. And because it's a fairly small pond, if we work in there for a good 20 minutes, slowly knocking this down, the water level should slowly drop. It's not a huge pond by the looks of it. Could be flooding into the woods a little ways, but I don't really think so with the lay of the land. It's just a small valley, considering we just drove on that road right there. It can't be flooding too far in there. I think it'll drop back fairly fast. But you know beavers, they'll have it clogged back up in a day. So we will mark this area when we drain it to make sure they can get rid of this beaver before winter time, because it'll cause severe frost heaving to the road. Around here, the ground can sometimes freeze 5 or more feet into the ground. And in that frost area, if there's a water table, it'll freeze and expand and really mess up the road. Let's take a look at the other side. I wonder if that has to do with the beavers. See this X? See how the ground got whoomp? A stabilizer from a truck with a boom was here. I wonder if that was removing the beaver dam. Could have been a backhoe also. It's stabilizers. That's pretty recent. See, there's pieces of grass. This was installed probably in the spring or early summer. Here's the other side. Let's take a look. There's a little bit of loose debris here that our blast should be able to simply push through. But with the big high boots, we'll be able to get a good amount of water flowing in there pretty fast. It's a pretty thin beaver dam. Beavers always build back better because they think their dam has failed. Whether we remove it, whether the loggers remove it, they don't know what happened. They just think it failed. So they're gonna build it back stronger and stronger every time. More sticks, more rocks. I just woke up. Let's get the big high boots on and the rake out. All right, got the big high boots on. Got my fluorescent jacket on because I'm chilly right now. But once I get my blood pumping, a good chance I'll take a halfway through break, take the jacket off. I also just quickly assembled a brand new magnet mount for our dive lamp. That'll also stick to the ceiling with the magnetic tripod from the inside, because it's a small pond. If we, for whatever reason, create a big blast and have to get out real quick, it'll quickly reduce flow. Within an hour, we'll be able to get back in there. Because it's a brand new pipe, I am not worried about possibly taking a higher risk and getting dragged through the thing, because there is no rusted out bottom or anything to hurt me. If it was an older rusted out pipe, we would take a little bit more precaution. I don't think that's going to happen. It's only happened one time out of thousands of uncloggings. All right, we're about to enter the pipe and start this. We got the rake out. We'll be entering over here, and we're going to set up camera number 2 here on the edge. I don't expect the water to flood up over these rocks because I don't see any obstructions downstream. Although downstream is a big flatter plain, it looks like the beavers have had this flooded at one point in the past. This rock the logging company uses is actually quite beautiful out here. Really nice. This one was nicely put in. All right, everyone, we are about to enter the pipe, and right now I'm just making sure to get some footage for before and afters, because I do expect the stream bed to be raging in no time. Get a shot of right here next to us, make sure it stays on it for a couple of seconds so we can use it afterwards. Up here, this is expected to flood a whole bunch in the next 10 minutes or so. It's starting to get a little more drizzly. It was just misting before. All right, everyone, we're going to set camera number 2 is now going. Alignment noise. Don't really have to do it too loud because usually I'll be on the other side. I'm holding a magnetic tripod that I'm just going to stick to the ceiling in there, along with my magnetic light so I can see what I'm doing. And we got a brand new rake because I broke the other one recently. All right. And I do have my partner with me for safety in case anything goes wrong. But this is a brand new pipe, so even if I get swept through, there's nothing sharp in here. Look at all those water skimmers. And this little bit of beaver debris here, I think, is the remnants from the last time the logging company has unclogged it. This is a 6-foot diameter pipe, a bit more comfortable to be working inside of. 5 foot's also pretty comfortable, but 4 foot, kind of cramped, especially as I get older. I'm hoping everything right here gets pushed out as we begin to make current. This pile's a little bit bigger than I thought it was, but none of it's secured by beavers. It should just slide out of here. But evaluating for anything sharp, nothing. Got some spider friends all over the ceiling. See, the water's only, it's not that deep in here, but that little bit of debris right there is what's holding this up. But I am prepared to get soaked right now. Okay, we'll set you up on the ceiling right here next to the spider friend. We'll put the light up here on the other side of the spider friend. We're gonna move you over to the side a little bit, making room for camera number 2 to be up there. All right, let's get to it. Roll up my sleeves. I'll probably throw this jacket out soon. Let's get some of the bigger stuff out before we create a big flow. I think this is a first year beaver. It's pretty inexperienced the way it's built. This is going to be not too hard by the looks of it. I love working in a bigger pipe like this because you're not too crouched. These bigger pipes also don't get as loud. The smaller pipes seem to be louder when you're in them working. Just waiting for that big pile to get out of here. I see it budging. You'll see that on camera too when it decides to give out. Yep, it's moving. Once that blockage is gone, the water will reduce on me. It's moving. It stopped. It'll start moving again, I think. It's moving again. It stopped again. It moves. The water gets lower. Now we gotta wait for it to build up again. All this debris I'm sending through is filling up the holes in that and pushing. It's moving again. It's budging again. Oh, it has just left the pipe. That means this water's gonna start dropping down on me. Good. This water dropping means more stress on that dam. More likely that'll come out now. It stopped again. But as we pull it apart, more debris will build against it again.
Good job, hon.
I need a drink. right, everyone, on camera number 2. We're gonna do some before and afters. We have to wait around for like an hour for that beaver pond to drain because I can't get camera number 1 out of there. Not safe to do, but it'll drop down fast. I was prepared for that. That's why I mentioned it at the beginning. Let's get some amazing before and afters now. Wow, that took 45 minutes. That's why my arms are so tired. My fingers are tired too because I got some arthritis starting, and holding that rake so hard to pull like that. My hands really are sore to even move them right now. My back hurts a little bit pulling. Oh, look! Some big things just came out of there. I think a little bit of the bottom of the dam may have just let go. So I'll talk to you on camera number 1. I mean right here on camera number 2, because camera number 1 is stuck. And I'll explain a little bit of what's going on to you. So we got the blockage completely out of there now. This is probably maximum flow. The camera light is just about dead, but the camera I see in there still looks like it's recording. You see on the screen, you can see the culvert outflow right on it. Very blurry, far away. But that's just it forcing itself into the culvert. It's completely gone now. Now, I think it was the logging company a little bit, and the beavers. So beavers do build dams out of rocks if they have it around, and there is a lot. That's what you're hearing right now, eroding through the pipe, these big pieces of rock. They were the foundation of the beaver dam, very hard to chip away. Now, the reason I would blame the logging company a little bit, and it's a great idea for a new pipe, they put a little bit of this rock in the bottom foot of the entrance of the pipe, probably to prevent erosion from the bottom of it while it's settling because it's a new pipe. But that gave the beavers perfect means to build a dam on it. Now you might say, I've showed before beaver dams completely out of rocks. How do we know the beavers didn't do that? Other pipes that the beavers aren't touching but are brand new on this road were installed the same way. So I'm just assuming that's how it was. So let's get some amazing before and after shots right now. Here's what the exit of the pipe looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Really, really big improvement. Here's what this angle right here looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Water's running perfectly clean already. And look back here. It's going all the way over this barrier of rocks. So basically everything we unclogged got jammed against those trees. That'll rot pretty soon. Maybe the beavers will reinforce it. We don't know. But look at all this water back here. Here's what back here looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. That is a ton of water. And I may even get in here with my rake and reduce that a little bit to get this water to drop back so I can get in there sooner. Now let's go look at the other side. Look at that. There's water going through all these rocks right now. You can still hear it eroding rocks and gravel. Here's what the inside of the pipe looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Listen to those amazing sounds of rocks. I love hearing that. And the water's already reducing just in the last 5 minutes. Ponds and lakes are usually shaped like bowls. So that means the lower it gets, the faster it's gonna drain, because there's less and less in the bottom of the bowl. And I can feel that vibrating as it's pushing little rocks through the pipe. Right now we are on top of the pipe. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. And I do honestly think, actually I know for a fact, this was a little bit higher. This is already starting to reduce. And look at that. I love these lamb's ear plants, some people call them. Some people call them toilet paper. They're extremely soft. And they get big. They will grow a stalk that's like 8 or 12 feet tall. I got a bunch of them on the side of my house. I love them. They have beautiful, long, yellow flowers. Love those things. Alrighty. And still, we are the only vehicle to have, looks like to have gone by. Hey, did a vehicle go by when I was in there? Alright, I just see another track I didn't notice before. Alright, so there's a good amount of drawback down here. I'll show you before and afters when this reduces right before we leave, because it's gonna do a lot more. So there was the beaver dam going all the way out here. I eroded that, got rid of it, because once it got too much to stand in there, because when you're in there, you're pulling with the flow. It's really helpful. But out here, you're fighting to pull it back and agitate it. So I was here on the edge trying to loosen the edge so the middle would wash out, and it was successful. Got it all the way down to the bottom. There's a couple little sticks still there, but we were hitting bottom. I'm sure you could hear that. We got it out from there because a lot of the sticks were over the edge of the pipe. We had to loosen them up to get them to go through. But these rocks here, they left a little layer in the bottom, which was a perfect foundation for the beavers to start. And we have already dropped down like 18 inches. From this unclogging, it's a 6-foot pipe. We're gonna drop back probably 4 or more feet. This is a big drawdown. And it's gonna take place pretty fast. Probably over the next hour. So I think I'm gonna leave this camera here, time-lapsing the downfall. And we're gonna look for some pretty stones. There's a lot of red stones mixed in with this. Ooh. To this day, I have never accidentally sent the rake through, except the time I accidentally sent myself through with the rake. But yeah, there's a lot of pretty red rocks around here. We're gonna look for some nice red rocks. Be good for the rock polisher. There's some pretty nice round ones in here along with this. They use a lot of nice red rock. But I'm gonna leave you guys right here, time-lapsing. I'll shut this off and restart. This should be nice. Hey everyone. Finally the water's low enough to get in here. Could have waited another hour, but I don't want to. We've got stuff to do today. My boots are about to get flooded. I think that's the only way I can really turn around in here. I think. Let's see. Guess I did wait long enough. I splashed a little bit of water, but so far it did not flood them. Current is finally low enough to fight. I could have got in here way earlier, but I definitely would have flooded them in that case. Yeah, I got out, just a little bit of water got in. Okay, I did good. Water levels dropped a lot, none of that grass was showing earlier. We put up some ribbons to let the logging company know there's a problem. Although anyone experienced should know by now that this is a problem. But I identified this as a problem 3 days ago and it has not been touched. So now we marked it with ribbons. We'll leave the time-lapse camera going a little bit longer while we pack up. Then I'll give you some time lapses of that before and afters of the water levels over there. And over here is slowly reducing. It's taken a long time. I found the frog friend. He's over on the shore. Whole bunch of slugs that must have been underneath those rocks had to come up. All right, everyone. We've been here about 2 hours. I went in there, got it out, because I didn't want to wait around any longer. Did get them pretty wet. They weren't full of water, but these will dry as I drive around with the heat on. I really don't expect to find another unclogging today. This was the first one we have found in months. It's been a very dry summer. Most of the creeks have dried up. This is not a result of last night's rain. Last night's rain was a big helper, but it didn't make anything, really. The ground just took it. It's been dry. So down here, starting to reduce. We hung up some flags so the logging company knows. Hopefully this beaver can get trapped and relocated before winter time. Probably got another month before things start freezing over. Next month we'll probably start to see our first snowfall, because right now it's late September 2025. Over here, none of that grass over there was showing when we arrived. Here's what this area looked like before we arrived. And here's what it looks like now. Pretty good. We look down here. Here's what the end of the culvert looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Looking down here into the culvert where the dam was. Here's what the dam looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. I actually can't wait for our first frost, because I got a few mosquitoes on me. We had a couple days in the middle of September get down to like 33 degrees or 0.5 Celsius. It was almost hit freezing. Almost hit freezing. The mountains and small hills had a deep freeze, but not my house. That's so weird to have frost advisories multiple nights in a row in the middle of September. Now it got fairly warm again at night. So the garden will live on. Ooh, look what we got down there. We got a big leech. It'll find its way back to the water if a bird doesn't get it. As long as they stay wet, they're fine, and it's drizzling. I'm sure glad I didn't get that on me. I went swimming in a body of water a couple days ago. I jumped in for only a couple of minutes. And when I got out, there was a leech on me. But it hadn't attached yet. Okay, here. Big ram's horn snail shells. That's pretty cool. They're not alive. They're not alive, but they're fairly big. And you, my friend, get back in the water. I made that easier for them. Alright. Let's get that off of me. Ooh, that was the wrong step. These are kind of cool. They're empty shells. Okay, let's get that off. My floor mats are already a muddy mess, so I'm not concerned about that at all. Let's get time-lapse camera 2 off. I'll leave it there a few minutes longer, I guess. Put the rake away. It's a good thing I went in there and got camera number 1 out, because we're on 9% battery. Got to charge this up. So, that water is going to drop back a couple more feet. You saw it was barely trickling in there when we arrived. It's going to go back to that. And it'll take them a while to get this water level back up. I do believe the sticks that were in there, now reconsidering, I don't think that was left there from the last unclogging, because the last unclogging by the excavator, that would have been surging. It wouldn't have survived. I think that is from when it started reducing, the beavers tried plugging it up while it was still too fast, and it was just taking all their efforts away, because those were pretty fresh and had leaves on them. I don't think that was ever part of a dam. That's what I think it was from. And I can't believe no beavers showed up. I think this might be a really big secondary pond, because usually you'd see beavers coming over to investigate. You don't see them in the distance at all. I think this is just a big secondary pond, because there's a beaver pond down there that we're now giving water to. There's so many beavers around this area. I also found this I wanted to show as an example. So I've traveled these logging roads for years and years. I've never once got a flat tire due to road conditions. It's always been a nail, even out here in the middle of nowhere. We haven't seen a car in 2 days. It's how middle of nowhere this is. But somebody was driving this. This is a winter tire, very soft rubber, and it's severely dry rotted. To get dry rotted like that, at least up north, this thing is probably 8 or 10 years old. I wear out tires fast, especially on these roads, driving so much. Most of my tires get replaced at least every other year. But this is somebody driving winter tires, which are very soft, very dry rotted, and maybe even overinflated. And they exploded. Don't drive junk tires out here. All the reviews, bad reviews on logging companies' pages have to do with people's tires and vehicles getting damaged. But if your tires are getting damaged out here, you probably have city tires, which are made for a good ride. I run tires that are very hard, and I don't even really notice too much of a ride difference. They're just a little bit loud on the highway. But we're going to shut camera number 2 off for a beautiful time lapse that was there for about an hour. This will continue dropping a bit. Got all the grass out of the water. The grass would not have grown underwater. This was recently flooded by beavers. All right, everyone, we ended up going by this area again later in the evening. It's now been probably 3 hours since I've been here, and there's some splashes when we were driving by. At first I thought it was the beavers, but there's a family of ducks. Oh, they're scared of me. Oh, what happened to that one? Did he mean to do that? Just jump into the bush? At first I thought it was going to be beavers coming over, but wow, this really, really dropped down. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Huge improvement. And we also found out by driving around where the beavers actually live. So upstream here, there's got to be a beaver dam. There is like a huge lake that they have. So they're going to end up getting relocated over the secondary pond that they don't even live at. But check it out. We got it right down to the riverbed. Now, did a beaver put that across there, or did that just float there? I think a beaver was over here while we were gone over the 3 hours, because look at this piece. The way it's jammed in there, I think a beaver just did that. Look how slowly moving it is in there, too. Oh, yeah, beavers were definitely here. Exactly what I suspected earlier has now been proven. Remember how there was a pile of sticks in there when we first started? Yep, it was the beavers. The beavers were trying to clog this over the past couple hours, but the current was too strong. They finally got that one I just removed across where they probably could have stacked things. Yeah, look, it dropped way back down. That water was up there flooding over these rocks. Really dropped down. Here's what it looked like at maximum capacity earlier. And here's what it looks like now. So yeah, look at all this fresh material here. Freshly, they just cut it down. Yep, it was too strong. They're trying to plug it up before all their water's gone. Pretty interesting to see. Here's another stabilizing area. And over here, one side of that ribbon is their favorite type of food and favorite building material, willow. In case they cut it down, that's why I put another ribbon on the evergreen. They don't like building with evergreen unless it's all they got. I wonder where the beaver is. So it looks like they started doing repairs here. See, this is just for water drawdown purposes. It'll take them a while to get this back up. I don't see the beaver anywhere. It's probably hiding, or as soon as I showed up, it really took off. But wow, none of this grass was here before when we first arrived. Huge, huge difference. Once again, here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day. There's an angry squirrel over there, too. I hear him getting pretty mad. There's a good amount of fall color starting. That is all birch. The green ones are still going to be about another month. That's aspen. It's usually past most of the trees. So this is the beaver's big. I think this right here is probably their primary. That might also be a primary down there that we're unclogging. That might be why they responded so fast, but this is right above it. This is where that water's coming from. This bigger lake right here. And there is a lodge right there. Pretty comfortable, but we're gonna move you over to the side over here. You'll see that on camera too when it decides to give out. It's moving again!
get some of the bigger stuff out before we create a big flow.
Hey everyone,